What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my college basketball week 3 top 25. But before we get into it, subscribe to the channel to be entered into the giveaway. Dropping from the rankings is Villanova this week, and they're also in the receiving votes as well, with teams with UCLA, USC, Virginia, and BYU. All of these teams can easily get into the top 25 next week, especially with a good week of basketball. And kicking off 25 through 21, Illinois falls a few spots along with Michigan State here, but Memphis, Mississippi State jumps into the rankings and James Madison moving up as well. All three of those teams didn't lose this week, and Mississippi State had a great week, 2 road wins, and got 3 wins total this week, moving to 5-0, where you have Memphis could be a big week for them in the battle for Atlantis. They win, beat Michigan, they're going to play some good teams. But if they lose, then they probably are falling out of the top 25. But then you have teams like Michigan State as well. They have a chance to go upset Arizona on the road. And if they can't, well, then they're probably going to find themselves out of the top 25 just with 3 losses this early. Now, 20 through 16, and this is where you see a lot of teams jumping up and down. Arkansas and FAU are the teams jumping down the rankings because, well, Arkansas had a bad loss to UNC Greensboro. Florida Atlantic had a bad loss at home to Bryant. And both of these teams have a chance to rebound this week and get back up into almost the top 10 or even the top 10, as Arkansas is in the battle for Atlantis and FAU is in the ESPN Invitational. But we'll talk about Colorado, 3-0, surprising 3-0 so far this season, dominating wins, and they're deserving the top 25. Alabama, yet again, another power horse in the SEC this year, took care of business last week with 2 wins. They get Ohio State first in the Emerald Coast Classic, and they could possibly find themselves in the top 10 with a good week. And then you have Baylor, should take care of business in the preseason NIT, get Oregon State first, and then the matchups are to be determined. But Baylor, I think, is a very good team that can win the NIT. Now, 15 through 11, these are teams where they're just jumping up a little bit because other teams falling. North Carolina, especially in Miami, the 2 ACC teams here. North Carolina, 1 win last week, didn't do too much, but they're in the battle for Atlantis, which should be a great tournament. Kentucky has 2 home games this week, should take care of business, get to 5-1. Texas A&M, they're in the ESPN Invitational as well, and they have Penn State, and they could possibly find themselves winning the whole thing as well. Miami, as I mentioned, had 3 wins last week, so they don't have any games this week as they take a week off of Thanksgiving and jumping back into it next Monday. And then you have Texas, 2 wins, the road win at Louisville in a stunner at the end with a game-winning basket. What do they get repaid with? Well, you get the number 5 team in the country, UConn, coming to your place, and then Wyoming at the end of the week. So Texas, it's a big week for them. They can win that game. They're probably going to be in the top 5. Now, 10 through 6, nothing really drastic changing here except Gonzaga moving into the top 10 after their beatdown of Eastern Oregon. And what do? Tonight, actually, they're getting Purdue in the Maui Invitational. And if they win that, then who knows who they're going to play. Same if they lose. But if they can win that game, they're going to prove to a lot of people that Gonzaga is going to be very good this year. Same with Tennessee. I'm currently watching it behind me. They're up 3 on Syracuse with 10 minutes left in the second half. And if they can find a way to win that one, then they'll moving on. And at 9, I have Tennessee. And right behind me watching, I have them. And they are winning by 3 with 10 minutes to go against Syracuse. If they can find a way to win that game, then who knows? Maybe this team might find themselves in the top 5. Creighton, they're in a Hall of Fame Classic, facing Loyola in their first game, should beat them. And then from there on out, who knows? Marquette is a team to watch after they beat Illinois on the road last week. And who do they get? They get UCLA first in the Maui Invitational. And a lot of good teams here. You've already seen these 2, plus Purdue, plus some other teams in this. It's going to be a very good tournament here in Maui. And then Duke comes in at 6. 2 wins last week, get back on track against Michigan State. Bucknell, take care of business. Should coast to 2 easy wins this week and move to 5-1. And the top 5 does not change one bit after all these teams take care of business. And especially Houston is the team I'll highlight. Houston, 4 wins last week. So they get 1 game this week. Montana at home, probably going to be 7-0. UConn took care of business last week on the road at Indiana, was a very strong win for them. And they get Texas on the road. If they can go in there, beat Texas, maybe this team's going to be jumping in the top 3. And then you have Arizona. Arizona at 3 wins last week, dominant victories. Michigan State at home, if they beat State at home, probably can knock them out of the top 25. And then Purdue, as I was talking earlier, They have Gonzaga today. They can beat Gonzaga. Zach Edey will have to dominate in this one. If he does, they'll move on to the next round. And Purdue is going to be the heavy favorite to win this tournament. But don't get too carried away because Kansas is in the Maui Invitational as well, the number one team. So hopefully, when it's all said and done, maybe not in the championship, but at least some point, we can see Kansas versus Purdue and possibly a preview of the national championship. But you got to win to get there in these Maui Invitationals. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we can see that happen. But that's going to be it for my college basketball week 3 top 25. Check back next week to see who's in my top 25. But until the next time, the bench buddies are out.